All right, everybody. Super excited. Got a longtime friend. The CEO of Clerri is on, Jim Higgins. Jim and I go way back from the days of Solution Reach and the days we were talking about Generation Next. I know 99% of people listening to this will not know what that was, but that was an organization. Right. But literally, I've known Jim my entire career, and I've watched, the things that you did with Solution Reach. And now you're a newly appointed CEO of Clerri, and Craig and I have a ton of context with Clerri, right? We've been big advocates of them. So I was really excited to connect all these dots and have you on the pod, especially given our history, especially what I know about you, especially how I know you're going to move the ball forward. And yeah, man, just super excited. I know Craig and you kind of just met, but Craig, you're an advisor even at Clerri, right? You help them kind of navigate some things. So it's really, this is going to be a very fun conversation. And just so we know, actually, Jim said before we hit record, he really wants to talk about where the industry is going, not so much like, the Clerri pamphlet, so to speak. And I really love that from a tech perspective. And I always talk about, Jim, I always say something like where the puck is going. So I'm excited for that, for dentistry, right? I'm excited for people to hear your context, right? As a non-dentist, but someone who has a tremendous amount of industry tech experience. For those of you who don't know Solution Reach, you started that, right, Jim?
I did. I founded it. Yeah, year 2000.
2000, right. And so right out the gates, I remember kind of 2001 or 2 when I graduated, rather. You were like the OG of patient texting and communication.
Yeah.
And so, like I say on the pod, people have always heard me say this, like, you have to reduce the friction in your ecosystem to get people to schedule. And like you guys adopted that. Obviously, it was a seamless way to get people on the books. But you guys were like the OGs of that. And now I know there's a plethora of texting platforms and this platform and that, but like you guys were way ahead of your times. Again, just giving some scope to the person the person you are and the person who's now on our pod. So welcome, buddy. Appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thanks. It's great to be here. And I really appreciate everything what you guys are doing. It's great to work with like-minded people that are thinking differently, from first principles. And that's what I'm so excited to be, working with you folks now and kind of pushing a new narrative forward and what we're doing. So yeah, excited to be here. Happy to talk about kind of where I started and maybe if that's interesting.
Yeah, please
and how
do.
I get into dentistry.
Please.
Yeah. So I was, way back, gosh, I was in tech and I always looked at, I was always, Solution Reach. The thesis was we're always a technology company first, solving things in healthcare rather than being, a healthcare company or a dental company trying to solve things with technology. That was very different about how we looked at the world. And so, to start with, dentistry was a first place we went into, but Solution Reach, was still is a patient engagement company. I remember grappling with what I was going to call it. There was no category, right, for it. And so I remember coming up in like 2003 saying, let's just call it patient engagement because that's really what we're trying to do. I mean, and now it's a whole category. It's kind of crazy throughout healthcare. I mean, Solution Reach, we scaled and started in dentistry, but and that was and it still is a great market for the company. But we scaled into retail healthcare, every vertical of retail healthcare, as well as healthcare, as you kind of know it from an ambulatory perspective, and we had hospital systems and everything. So I think I gained a really good perspective throughout the healthcare system, and honestly, how the payer systems work, and I could see a lot of differences. So I think it gave me a really good perspective and kind of coming here today. But I remember, one of the things that we talked about, the first tagline of Solution Reach, it was building patient relationships one message at a time. Mm-hmm. And the thesis was, where is the puck going? Like you said, Peter, we were the first company in the world to send a text message in healthcare. I remember talking about text messaging with people, and we all had the Nokia phones and things, back then. No one knew what it was. And I'm like, wait a minute. And we started with, typical appointment reminders, lessen the friction, but we really kind of leveled up into looking at campaigns and
I remember that email
and
campaign.
Doing things that were really focused on, high touch, high tech, but really driving behavior and helping people get the best care that they that sometimes they didn't know they needed, frankly. And so today, what's so exciting is the technology has come so far. And there was a lot of things that I just couldn't do back then because we just didn't have the technology that we do now. So I'm pretty excited to take a second crack at some things. So anyway, that's a little bit of history.
So it's interesting. I just want to add one thing just for the listener, because Clerri was Membercy and Clear. So Clear is the company that you all may be familiar with, and now it's Clerri. But, when you talk about what your past was, we think of Clear as a membership company, dental membership company. It's a way that patients can get their dental care for, X dollars per month, and includes all their exams and x-rays. So where your excitement is about patient communication. So where is this puck going, if you don't mind?
Great question.
High level.
Yeah. So maybe interesting to kind of take it just a step back and how I see some things. I was fortunate enough to, had a couple exits with Solution Reach. I still am a big owner, although I have nothing to do with the company. It's private equity run mostly. That's fine. It's just not my style. I'm a builder, an entrepreneur, and we built it up pretty big though. We were past 100 million in ARR, and so it was a fairly big company. Well, small, I guess, in some terms, but from zero, that was pretty good size. We did some good things, but yeah, I was retired playing golf. Game will drive you freaking crazy. It just about did. My wife's like, what are you doing, man? Like every day, and you're never going to win that game, right? So I almost went nuts. But a private equity firm came to me, was looking for, a new CEO with a different vision for Clerri. And I was just going to help them at first. Just look for somebody and say, hey, in dentistry, this is what I would kind of do. And the more I started talking with them, the more I'm thinking, and this could be a really big game changer. So you're right. Today, it's an excellent patient membership platform, and it does a lot of great things. And the founders have done a great job at getting the company to where it is. And I think that, of course, we're going to talk about it, and it's a really no-brainer. And I saw that right away, and I thought, man, that's so smart that those guys did that. I missed that. I didn't do that piece. That's pretty awesome. And then I started thinking, do I want to go back to work? And it was one of those wrestling matches. But I talked to this firm for 4 months and said, look, you got to give me major control. I'm not going slow. I'm going to innovate and go faster. I'm not interested at all. And, typical private equity firms are uncomfortable with that. And I was like, you're going to be really uncomfortable with me for sure. Or just don't talk to me about it. That's totally fine. And so these guys were really great. I was shocked that they were as good as they are, and how much support and partnership that they've given me. And I've been here all of 2 months, but it was a 4-month conversation before I even thought, okay, I want to do this. But look, I saw it from the big perspective saying, look, I know the industry, and I'm thinking about memberships and saying, I found myself for the first time without dental insurance. It's so crazy because I was sort of retired, and I'm going, and this is before I talked to Clerri, but I'm like, yeah, we're going to go to the dentist, and we moved into a new place, a new community. And so we're looking for somebody, and I was like, yeah, we don't have dental insurance. I'm like, yeah, I guess we don't, whatever. I haven't thought about it for so long because you just had it. Right. And, the first practice we went to was just sort of not great. And I was like, yeah, this is not the place we're going to go. Right.
Wait, this was your personal family experience?
Yeah, this is personal. This is a year ago. Right.
Okay,
or no, well, this is probably 6 months ago. And so my wife says, hey, there's a practice and they seem really on the ball. There's a certain thesis I wanted to go to for a certain practitioner. And I've been around the industry for a long time. And you guys both weren't practicing in St. George, Utah, is where I live, this little place in southern Utah. But they had this membership program. And I'm like, oh, well, tell me about it. And they started talking about it. I'm like, oh, that's a no-brainer. That's way better than insurance. I'm in. That was so easy. And then it's so crazy because just a few weeks later is when this private equity firm came to me, and I was just going to do them a favor. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know you guys. So I have the experience of saying, wow, that was so smart, and the consumer experience. But I look at it this way. I'm rambling a little bit about history, but I think it's important because I looked at it and said, look, dental insurance, the PPO, is just lousy. Every doc hates it. They're the customer. It's just this crazy
And every
industry, right?
patient hates it. And every patient hates
Every patient hates it. And they're actually working against you, man.
it. 100%.
Like,
But
if you really
Jim,
understand it.
they have a flawless business model.
Yeah,
Because let me
exactly.
tell you why the
Oh
insurance
my
company
God.
has a flawless business model.
Yeah,
They
dude.
provide crappy service, and the dentist who gets screwed by them is the one who gets the negative review. So
Oh, yeah.
Becky goes to the dentist, Aetna or what Acme Dental Insurance decides to deny it, and the dentist gets the bad review.
Yeah,
They try to steal
definitely.
my money and blah blah blah. So it's a flawless business model.
Yeah, no,
you don't
it's
get
great.
yeah. Someone else gets blamed
It's
for
great.
your
It's like
your
a perfect
under.
politician, never answering the question, always deflecting. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so I just looked at it and said, everybody can't stand that. Isn't it time to just like disrupt things? And I looked at it and said, if I'm going to take this role, I want to attack insurance. I want to change it. I want to disrupt it in a big way. It's a huge swing, and it's not like I work in parallel in everything I'm doing in the company, but certainly phase one is the membership and platform, and I'm transitioning that to an all patient platform rather than just a membership platform for members only type of thing. And I've talked about that, but I think overall the bigger piece is, look, it's not a question of when, it's how fast, right? And you guys get it, but I'm thinking about
Wait,
this
it's
and
not a question
saying
of
to
when what, Jim?
sorry. So
Not
I'm
a question
sorry.
of
It's
when.
not a question of when you need to think about taking control of your practice, frankly. Just look at it as
Okay.
a business. You're kind of renting your patient base if you have the PPO just there. And so you guys get it, but you have to say, is a membership? Just start there, because that's the first step, right? Of really kind of taking control of your patient relationships and not having the PPO in the middle of that. I mean, that's kind of the way it's set up, which is crazy. But I look at it as, okay, getting a membership platform, when is it right thing? And a lot of people say, well, if you're early, it's not when, it's if you get, I think it's like, it's not when you have it, it's how fast you can get it, because you have to take the steps to elevate your practice, which I think this does, and actually move away from a lot of PPOs. I'm not saying you have to move away from 100%. You may never do that, and that's fine. But if you can create a different business model, which the industry is pushing, right? That's why I'm interested in talking about dentistry. Look, this is where the macro effects are moving. And so you have to be ready for it. If you're not, kind of in trouble. I remember talking in year 2000, I would talk to some dentists, and I'd be talking to some docs and try to sell them on the show floor. I'm the only guy with my little, 10 by 10 table, starting a company. I'd try to be pitching them, and they'd be like, I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do that. And I'd say, well, can you imagine? I mean, it's year 2000, not sending an email to a patient. And they didn't even know what text message was. So I had to use a typical thing, right? And people were like, well, I don't know. I'll get there maybe someday. It was like, man, today's the day. Like, you have to go fast. And so this is sort of that tipping point.
Yeah. And so what you were able to see back then, Jim. So let's talk about the tech of 2000, right? The revolutionary was email and texting. And what you saw from early adopters back then, you had data points that saw the rise in their practice, right? Meaning that, you were able to see, oh, this is actually working. And I think early adopters, not too early, like Craig says I am, but early adopters in things like this, where you're disrupting, not replacing, but you're disrupting some of the insurance dependency in your practice by offering what attracted me to your product, honestly, early on, was the SaaS model. So you're building a membership, a defined membership program, very similar to what software programs do, right? To software platforms do. And they're very sticky, because once you get integrated, you kind of stay with that software. And so the same thing applies for I'm going to land the plane here a second. The same thing applies here. When you can get someone on Clerri, right? The lights come on for them as a patient. When you have someone as an insurance, right? There's no loyalty to them, meaning that they're going to go to the next provider, to the next provider, to the next provider, whoever is in their plan, if they have a bad experience. In this model, I think it's like, hey, this is my guy, this is my practice, this is my gal, whoever it is. I think there's just like, I'm in it to win it with you as a patient, so to speak. And I just feel like there's like, and I've seen the data from my end, like all of our practices, all 8 locations of my ecosystem use Clerri, right? And I'm able to see the rise over time, and people just don't quit it, so to speak, right? It's more of just a continual climb, and people are happy, and it solves the problem. Because so many times, and Craig, you can attest to this, so many times patients will show up and be like, hey, doc, I don't have insurance. Is that okay? Well, and I'm like, yes, thank God. Good for you. You don't have it. And they look at me all bewildered. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
There's 2 things I want to unpack that you just said, Peter. One thing is, the allegiance to the practice, which I think is a really valid point. No one's leaving once they have a recurring membership. The bigger problem is that the insurance company, I love what you said, Jim. You said you don't own your patient base, you're renting it, right? Because then doctor knows what's best. Doctor tells Becky what to do, but then insurance company comes and says, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing a white filling. We're doing a silver mercury one. We're doing this. And then we are like, we can't really help you because, you're really, the insurance company is dictating the care that you should receive. We don't pay for implants. We don't pay for, a tarot scan. We don't pay for Invisalign. So it's true that the ownership of the relationship is by the insurance company, but also the ownership of the treatment is done by the insurance company as well. So, before we hit record, you said something that was just amazing. You said, my goal, and I'm paraphrasing you, maybe you'll say it yourself, like what's your overarching goal?
Yeah, I mean, overarching goal for me, and I think the company, is to disrupt insurance and change.
Yeah, hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah, someone has to do it.
That again from the back.
Someone has to do it because, and Peter's point is like when people are like, hey, I don't have insurance, we've all gone to the pharmacy and gotten, but when our insurance changed and picked up a medication for our kids or something like that, and it's like, it's $1,800. You're like, what? $1,800?
Yeah.
And then you pull out your insurance card and they're like, oh, it's actually $4 now. So the understanding of what, people don't realize they spend more on their cell phone than their preventative care. People spend more on their haircuts than their preventative dental care. But the understanding is if I don't have insurance, it's going to be like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get my teeth cleaned. They don't understand. It's like for $25 a month, you can have all this. So there's this major hole in the knowledge base of the consumer about dental insurance. And let's face it, dental insurance is the only insurance product you actually want to use. You don't want to use your health insurance. You don't want to go to the hospital. You don't want to use your car insurance. You don't want to use your liability, your death, and your life insurance. So by virtue, it's really all it really is. If we're just being intellectually honest with each other, dental insurance is a discount plan.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. That you can't control.
That you can't control. But it's not true insurance because the maximum allowable benefit has been the same for the last 40 years. And 40 years ago, $2,000 actually covered a full mouth reconstruction. Now it's lucky if it covers 1 or 2 teeth. So if you get in a catastrophic accident, if you're snowboarding, you break all of your teeth, your insurance is just offering you a discount plan. That's all it is. It's less fee. It's less dollars.
And when you think about like the macro effects of just look at it from a big picture perspective, you got like about 72 million adult Americans are uninsured from a dental perspective. So that means if you just do the math, about 33% of every dental practice is underperforming because they don't have insurance. And what that really relates to, unfortunately, Craig, is what you talked about. They'll spend less, they'll see you less, visit less, and they stay. They don't stay. They leave, right? And so you're looking at that and you're saying, wow. Like if you looked at it just as a business, you'd say, oh my gosh, I have to change the way I think about how I am engaging with that, bottom third or a third of my practice. I'm not saying that cash patients aren't great. And of course they are. I mean, I'm a cash paying patient, right? I can pay for a lot of things. However, the membership is totally different because what that does for me, it's I appreciate the doctor's capability, and the insurance practices sort of don't even look at that. Like, are you really great, Craig, at what you do or not, right? I value that as a patient. Insurance company kind of doesn't, right? So as a member, that's kind of how I think of it. If you look at the membership, gosh, like 85%, up to 90%, like you guys are probably higher, but like the lower average is about 85% stay versus 60%. in a practice. So what that means is, look, you look at this, if you have 60% retention in that third of your patient base, right? But they don't do much, right? In terms of their spend right now. You get in a membership, the retention goes up just in that cohort 85%. So you're looking at a massive amount of patient, I'm not talking about activity, but just keeping retention. If you don't have it, what's happening is you're just building somebody else's practice, because from a macro perspective, 72 million patients are uninsured, but they still go to the dentist. It's not that they don't want to, but how they go is changing. And I think that's really important to understand. So what does that mean? It means this. If I'm an influencer, I'm a YouTuber, I've been in the seat as a CEO for 2 months, right? And every time I'm in an Uber, I'm asking them about dental care. Like, what do you do for your dental care every time? So I'm talking to everybody. And it's not that they don't want to, but they just want to do it in a different way. And when I talk about a membership, they're like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. I do that at the gym. I'm a member of Costco. I'm an Amazon member. The really big companies understand, and why SaaS companies have been so successful is because they have that membership effect that happens, right? If you're a member, like, you're going to the dentist. I'm not going. You said, maybe you don't want to, but it's crazy because you see, like, if you're a member, I mean, the data we have, which is really crazy data, is so amazing, is that you're almost seeing them 6 times a year as a member. You'd really be lucky to see once or twice ever, right? And your production lift is massive. So anyway, we're focused on like 3 things at Clerri that I don't think they were really focused on before. And it's first and foremost through the membership is to drive production. That's a huge lever that everyone wants to figure out. And at Solution Reach, we tried to do that, but we didn't have the technology and we didn't have sort of this membership financial element to it to be able to do it. So that's one thing. And then drive retention. And then again, the third thing is disrupt the industry by getting Craig, Peter, you guys have your own, right, plan, essentially, that, and so it's a kind of, I'm saying a lot there, but that's sort of what we're doing. But the wave is happening. It's not that, people are all of a sudden not going to go to the dentist. That's not really the case. I mean, you have to do a couple different things from that perspective. You have to, from Clerri's perspective, we need to team up with great docs like you guys, right? And hopefully we have every single doctor that's a customer. But we're also going to disrupt industry from a retail perspective and have a pull strategy.
Yeah,
so
you need that.
We're
Someone
not
needs
just
to be able to
staying one
shop
thing.
Acme and shop Clerri. Like
That's
an
right.
employer needs to do that.
That's right. So in Rippling or any kind of HR system right now, as employer-sponsored plans, I can go and see Delta Dental or anything like that. Well, why can't I see your practice, Craig or Peter? Why can't I see your practice there? Well, it's kind of hard. You need to have the TPA, right? And you have to, third-party administrator. Well, we're doing that. Like, you're going to ride on our rails and then go out to your.
You got to be credentialed with the insurance company. Credentialed.
Well, that's the cool thing, is that we don't have to do that credentialing as a membership plan. And so when you think about it, what I want to do is I want to be building the rails to where you can actually take this into your SMB. So the small employers around town. And that's how you grow your new patients. So I want to bring patients there and then pull. It's a pull strategy, push strategy.
But you have a mechanism now to go direct to B2B, right? From a dentist.
Yeah, we do that already. We go to small businesses and we have the Clerri plan for small business.
That's awesome.
So we take these small,
but that's a B2B strategy, Craig. Finally, you have available. Before, it's always been business, the dental practice, to consumer, which is the patient.
Right.
Jim, one thing I want to bring up that I would love to hear your data on. And this is the psychology. You said Amazon, and I want to bring this up as a psychological aspect. So Amazon, everyone knows, everyone on this call has Prime, I'm sure, right? By doing Prime, they're saying, hey, we'll charge you $150 a year, but for that benefit, you will get free shipping, right? I think everyone analyzes that as you get free shipping and maybe some TV shows or whatever. But in your head, you're thinking, well, shit, I better get my money's worth from this. I'm gonna do all my shopping on Amazon because I better get my money's worth for the $150 I pay to get free shipping. Is everyone with me so far? I think the same thing applies in this, and maybe this is where I want you to make, is do patients actually engage with more dentistry after doing a Clerri plan because they're saying, hey, I'm going to do all of my dentistry here. I'm going to do more dentistry because this is my provider and I'm paying monthly and I'm seeing it come out monthly. So therefore I'm going to get my benefit, i.e. do that crown, do that full mouth, do that whatever it is. More dentistry comes from the membership as well as obviously the retention and the hygiene and all that stuff like that. Have you seen that, Jim?
Yeah, thanks for grounding me. I got a little out of control there. I'm a little bit I get hyperbolic when I get on my soapbox. So yes, I'm pretty passionate, right? Yeah, and I think the first thing is, and I'll share those stats with you, which are really obvious. And I think we're doing things. I'll tell you what we're doing to expand that. But the first thing is, I don't like the whole discount club thing that people think about with membership. I think that was one of the challenges. And if you think about any membership, I fly Delta a bunch, right? And so you think about the Sky Miles. It's more, you're exclusive, right? When I get on an airplane now, unfortunately, I hate the fact that I'm like a platinum member. That means I'm traveling way more than I want to. But it's really interesting. Every time I get on a flight, what do they say?
Thank you for your membership.
Thank you for being a platinum
or
member,
loyal,
right? Or diamond, right? Or loyal. They just say it. It doesn't cost anything, did it? Didn't cost them a dime, right? Yeah, it didn't cost them a dime. Well, are we doing that? I mean, you guys doing that at your practice when people are at the receptionist coming in and say, oh, thanks for being a member? No. Because other people hear that, right? So again, it's the difference of the little things matter, right? So all of a sudden, this is a change. And you can build the software this way, by the way, too. It's a change from you're saving money, you might as well join. It's a low price. Those are all things that are true, right? Because I actually get less. I mean, I actually save money as a platinum member for SkyMiles. They upgrade me for free. So there are a lot of discounts that I actually get. Amazon as well, right? But I don't feel like I'm in a discount. I feel that it's an exclusive club.
Luxury
and
brand.
It's the way the messaging happens. So when you start thinking about it, I was talking to a doc, I was like, how often do you talk about insurance? He's like, I talk about it every day with everybody in the chair. It always comes up. I'm like, okay, well, it's coming up already. That's a perfect place for you to actually talk about it. But if you can position this as an exclusive club that you have different things with, which we're building the software, and I'll talk to you about it, that way, that changes everything, right? That changes everything about the way that you present the plan, right? Case presentation. You guys are perfect at this. I've been around and been through so many CE courses about case presentation. You know, I'm not a dentist, but I feel like, okay, I understand that. But it is that way with a membership, right? So there's some small things you can do that really changes the perspective. And it's a psychological perspective for your team. It's also a psychological perspective for the consumer, right? So we need to do a better job, and we have in just 2 months, about how we engage the members for and in your behalf, right? How are we talking about their membership benefits? How are we talking about the things that you're doing? Like, I don't know, are you guys working more with the mouth guards? Are you still doing CEREC? Are you doing some other things? Are you using Pearl AI and what you're using, you know, from that perspective? Are you doing Botox? Are you getting into GLP-1s? I mean, I think dentistry is moving into an all-inclusive place, and that's a different discussion, probably a different podcast. But I look at that and think that's what the membership delivers, right? And so all of a sudden, membership changes. And again, we have to think about that. It's not insurance, and it's not an insurance replacement. It's a membership that actually does a lot more. So when you think about unscheduled treatment, that's the first, right? That's the biggest lever. What we've done at Clerri, which I think is, you know, we had this, but we didn't understand what we had almost, right, in the product. So we actually have a couple different things. We work great with the practice management software providers, right? And so we just got actually embedded or built right into the Open Dental platform. So there is no difference in your workflow if you're an Open Dental user using Clerri than using any other functionality within Open Dental, for instance. So it's like you don't know there's a difference. So that's an amazing experience from the workflow. And that's something just now we're launching, and we're kind of announcing that here. And we just did that. So that's a great, great thing. And we're doing that more and more. But when you think about what we're looking at, you can now see we have like this small overlay we call the bridge, if we're not integrated or built in like we are with Open Dental. But it essentially allows you to see the patients coming in that day and if they're a member or not, right? Maybe in the future, it's going to like hint to say little things like, oh, thank you for being a member, because you can see Peter's coming in, he's a member or not, right? It's really great because you can just click a button, see that, well, Jim Higgins is coming in, he's not a member, and this is what he could save, right? That's a great way to talk about the membership. However, we also pull all the unscheduled treatment right there, okay, and show that. So all of a sudden, now the conversation is, Jim, it's great. Have you heard about our exclusive membership? You have this unscheduled treatment anyway. Okay. You're going to save, by the way, in becoming a member. You're going to save, maybe it's $3,000 or $2,000, whatever it is. And we can schedule that as well now. Okay. That's a pretty big deal. We're actually closing the gap even more I'm not announcing who we're working with, but we're building in really a buy now, pay later, great provider to kind of finish that last mile. In my mind, as member, I was thinking, the membership's great, but what if I have to, pay $1,200 and I get maybe a discount, but I still have to do $1,200 and I might not have that. And so I felt like, as a member myself, I felt like there's a gap. Could I afford it? Yes. But a lot of people can't. And I don't want a membership to surprise them. So we've actually partnered and are building in right now a membership, or I should say a buy now, pay later partner. So on that same page, you can also see that Jim Higgins has this unscheduled treatment and he's pre-approved for $3,200.
That's good. That's good.
So all of a sudden, the conversation changed right there. And you guys see it, right? Now it's all of a sudden it's, hey, and we can take care of that. Now you might have your own financing system, and that's fine. You don't have to use it.
Jim,
but if you want a one click unscheduled treatment, that's a huge lever. And so right now we do about 172% production increase. Let me repeat that. What am I saying? Today, without any of that functionality and view and how we're going to change the product, and we've already changed it. Without that, a member versus a non-member. If you're a member, you spend 172% more. It's insane. It's insane. A lot of that is because you have more at-bats. Frankly, people want to use it, the membership effect. You're like, I don't want to not use it, so I'm coming in. Well, the more you come in, what does that do? You're building the relationship. That builds the trust. And I'm like, yeah, what do you think I should do? People aren't going to make the decision, even for whiter teeth, necessarily the first shot. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of docs love the fact that, new patients, I love new patients. That's great. But that patient, from a lifetime value perspective, you need to look at that, right?
Well, Jim, and can I cut you right here?
The further pay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Because I think this is good. I think this is good education as well for kind of dentists as we run businesses, right? And a lot of us forget that it is a business. And really there's 3 levers in which you can grow your business. That's it. Take from a first principles perspective, you can either increase the amount of patients that come in, you can increase their frequency, or you can increase what the percentage, you can increase the dollar amount that is spent per appointment. Right. So Starbucks, right, has nailed the frequency of the daily consumer kind of thing, right? They're only selling a $6 cup of coffee only, but they've nailed it on that perspective. And so what I think you're tapping on here is, this podcast discusses, it doesn't do anything clinical. We don't talk anything clinical at all. It's all the business of dentistry, the marketing, the psychology, the team, the alignment, all those things. And I think this really resonates with the bulletproof principles about like, here's how you grow your business by offering something to your patient base that has minimal friction. It increases retention and it increases your average production per patient visit.
And taking another page out of the Starbucks model, Starbucks owes coffee because people give the money to Starbucks ahead of time.
Starbucks.
Yeah, there's like literally hundreds of millions of dollars.
No, it's $7 billion, Craig.
$7 billion of dollars. It's the same page. They're paying you whether you show up or not. We owe dentistry. As a Clerri customer, we owe the dentistry. The money's coming in. 2 things I wanted to ask you. Are you going to take a page of the Amex and do the member since 98 or member since like Amex Platinum? I'd love for you to, on their membership card.
And tiers would be cool too.
Yeah.
Like Delta, like you did the page out of Delta.
And then also, and I guess I could bring this up on our next advisory call, but I'd love to have some form of sales CRM for the team that they can be incentivizing commission based when they sell memberships. So anybody that goes in and, when one of your team members logs in and sells one, we could track that.
There's attribution for
There's
that, Craig.
attribution for the
Yeah,
team
I
member.
love that. So good.
Yeah, so I love those things. I'll tell you a couple things that we're doing. One of the things I wanted to do, and I think that technology plays a huge part of that, especially AI, and we can talk about what that means. I mean, people say AI, but I actually understand it a little bit, and my team understands it really well. We've built a world-class team I brought with me, so we understand it, and we're building a lot along those lines. But basically, what you can do, like, what's the difference of using those things and implementing them? It just makes it easier for people to give money to your business. I mean, I'm talking about a business, but it makes it easier for patients to spend money with the practice. It's not easy. And you guys know that, right? The insurance is the hardest thing. It's like people want to give you money, but you can't tell them how much you have to,
Right.
yeah, wait, let me see what that's going to cost. Like, 2 days later, you have to call
What's
them
my
back. Well, it
insurance
looks like,
paid for?
exactly. Well, yeah, we are actually doing a lot in terms of, I want to make it really easy for patients to sign up. I want them to be able to sign up on their own. I want to be able to have layup conversations in the practice with the receptionist. And I don't want to put a receptionist and the team in an uncomfortable spot of selling. So selling to me is educating with passion. If you're a believer in it, then of course you're going to sell. That's what selling is, right? It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing if you believe in it, right? So,
Of course.
and so you have to do that, but not everybody's really comfortable doing that, right? And I understand that. So we want to make that process much easier. We have launched, to point, a gamification module just now called Office Rewards. And so what we're doing is we're gamifying it within the practice. So Peter, you have 8 practices now?
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see which one's performing in terms of new membership signups. And we make it fun. Like, we subsidize it and send gift cards. So it's a leaderboard right now. So let's say you have 3 people in your practice that are really kind of talking about the memberships and selling those. We'll actually create the leaderboard, and it's fun, right? Within that practice, and then reward them. You don't have to. So we'll send gift cards. Yeah. We'll send the gift cards to them. Amazon gift cards. Oh, it's 25. Second place was 15. First was 50, right? So we're actually raising the cost of our platform, but it makes sense because this is a model which I love, which is, as we create a membership for you, yeah, we kind of weatherproof your practice in terms of, you create a SaaS model, right? In the office or not, you're getting paid, right? So you can know, hey, I'll make $100,000 or $200,000 off my membership plan. And that's always staying there pretty much, because your retention rates and your renewal rates are so high and your activity is so high. And that's your most loyal group. So yeah, creating levels in there, I think, is important. But today, yeah, we're able to do that. And we just launched it, and we saw I think in the first week, we saw a 6% lift in just 2 beta practices, which was not nothing, but it was 2 weeks that we were looking at it, and they weren't really doing a great job with it. But the point is that gamifying something and making it fun, and it's something that will benefit your practice, is a big deal. And it's hard to manage that stuff. For you guys to do that and manage, it's just a hassle. We'll take that on, and we've done that. So I think it's very cool. Now, do we create a CRM system? Yeah, potentially we could do something like that. I think you need to just, like I said, make it fun and make everyone selling easier. And I think that it's hard for some practices.
And we've seen that time and time again. Actually, we just had a podcast recently, where it's this is one of the fatal flaws of why practices suffer, is that they're uncomfortable talking about enrollment or the cost of something or educating for fear of, quote unquote, there's been this dogma in dentistry. It's whoa, I don't want to sell. I'm what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Life
it's a bad word.
We have people in our team, listen, like you said, Jim, this is really good for people. The average American does not go enough to the dentist, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if we can enroll more patients in preventative care, get patients to show up at the dentist, they're going to live more healthy, productive lives. So this is not selling. This is enrolling people in what's right for them. The same way we have to sell the American public to click it or ticket, put your damn seatbelt on. It's going to save your life. So the one thing I was thinking is since you're cross-referencing data, I'm happy that, because we have Open Dental here. Do you have an ability to start ranking the patients as far as like their how their no-show rate is? Like it would be really important for us
Like a
to
Uber score,
score,
Craig?
no, just to score our
Yeah.
patients because we want to know the value of the patient, meaning someone who actually refers people, who shows up to their appointment. All patients are not created equal, and you have to rely upon your memory to know this patient shows up on time, this patient refers people. So I wonder if there's a way to inherently score them on our back end in the
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, we did some of that at Solution Reach. We did some good things with it, but technology wasn't quite there. And I always was saying, look, who are your loyal patients, and just
Right. I'm trying
understanding
to
that,
figure out.
right? And it was, we had data at Solution Reach where we could show, hey, this patient has referred you 5 times. Now, maybe no one's come in yet, but we could track that. And so all of a sudden you were saying, until a new patient came in, and you went, oh, well, Jim Higgins told me about it. Oh, I love Jim. He's a great, but you might have not known that I had already referred 5 times and they haven't come in yet, right? And so you see me, it's those little things like that. Yes, in our transition to, the membership is the foundational layer. That's how I see things. And there's a lot that we want to do there, right? Clearly, your practice gains freedom from PPOs, which we've talked about. It's just so crazy. We could talk about that more, but like they work against you too with third-party auditors and stuff. It's just insane, right? So anyway, it gives you that freedom. It creates that weatherproof income. So you're essentially creating that SaaS revenue in your practice. The loyalty goes up, the production lift. It's all those things happen, and it's exclusive club, and we want to change that, right? I would like to see that grow exponentially in a practice, as everyone else would. So how do we do that? Well, it's the transition to become an all patient platform. And part of that is actually understanding your patient base really well. And so part of the thing that we're going to be doing right now that we're building is really using some agentic tools. So essentially there's a few different things when I think about agentic tools and AI. And these are tools that we just didn't have in the day. And that's why I'm so excited about what we can do with them now. We'll be able to actually think about it, different agents, right? But I think about how I want to launch as AI teammates. I don't want to have them just be completely autonomous and take over your practice. I want to actually have teammates that you actually can control and understand because you know your patient base the best. However, yeah, there's probably 6 different agents we're working on right now that are going to be able to understand things about your patient base and specific things that will change your practice. Dormant patients is one, unscheduled treatments another, but not just saying, hey, here's a list of patients that you now know. Like your practice management can have that report someplace. They don't do a good job, but I'm saying about actually doing something about it in a way that you don't have to pick up the phone all the time. How do we engage them? What do we know about them exactly? What's their next treatment? What's the predicted next treatment for in behalf of their benefit? And then you understand that. So when you have that conversation with them, we've actually done a lot of the interactions and engagement before you ever talk to them. That's the point of technology. If you do it right, you can do that.
The real business intel, like if you look at, that term was thrown around BI and business intelligence really, but it was really just KPIs. And that was the business. This is true. When you're talking about agents going to your half and working as your co-pilot, this is the business intelligence that could potentially move the lever, as opposed to looking at lag indicators from a data perspective.
Yeah,
you're actually saying, hey, here are some lead indication things that you should do to grow your business, right? And that is the business intelligence we seek versus what was kind of what
and
was
by
proposed.
The way, there's another interesting thing for Jim, for you to consider. We are not allowed to offer referral kickbacks we're not allowed to pay or incentivize referrals. It's a violation of the Stark rule. So if you, Jim, send your wife, I can't give you a $100 credit. But I wonder if you could contemplate within the platform that you're talking about that you could have a referral system and a credit towards future membership. So like, I wonder if that surpasses these Stark laws or something.
Yeah, I know one of the things that we do really well, and one of the things that's not talked about much is our compliance and the liability kind of shield that we give a protection, that we protect a practice with just having a membership. It's really incredible. So there's so many different consumer laws. So that one, it's a great idea. I'd have to look and see how that plays into it. I know exactly what you're talking about, though. There's just so much you can do, and there's so much more.
Refer your friend.
Click
here,
for
and
sure.
It's referring, and then they get a credit.
I built that in Solution Reach in 2017. I mean, that. Yeah. I get it totally, and we the way we can do it now is so different. Like, there's so much information out there, and I don't want to be like Big Brother creepy, but like when you start looking at propensity to pay, for instance, you can track. There's a bunch of data that an agent can start looking at Jim Higgins and saying, well, what's his propensity to pay over $2,000 within 15? I mean, you have a lot of intelligence. And so how is that agent engaging me? Like, very high touch way, not creepy, like I said, the right message, right time, right patient. That level is just so different now, right? And so that's a big piece that then again flows into your membership as that grows. Do you see what I'm saying? That's kind of my view of what I'd like to see happen. And I know that, I know that I want to let docs be great docs, and I want to use everything we can do to figure out and be like, we're your tech partners. Let us like worry about all this stuff. Let us worry about all the compliance and like all the consumer laws, and let us worry about all the tech and all the AI and everything else, and we'll help you. But I think we could do it really, really well to be a great partner because we're fully aligned. Like, the company doesn't really make money unless it's a revenue share on the back end. That's what's so cool about this model. As you grow, we grow, and we take a very small slice of this. And so it's just really cool. I think all those things are aligned for us to do, really change dentistry, do it in a way that hasn't been done before. And it's kind of ours to lose, but that's why I'm here and what we're doing.
Jim, let me wrap with this one question. I think it could land the plane, right? So for the owner who's listening and who feels, I'm already maxed out on overhead, I'm already maxed out on complexity, it's one more thing for my team, what would be your argument, right? That Clerri membership could be net simplifying for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one of the things is that, look, you have to actually have things in your practice that make a big difference, right? Because you can run around like, it's sort of death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? And sometimes technology can get that way, certainly. I look at it and say, one, do you need to do this? Like, if I look at my business or I look at Clerri today, and I think about what we need to do in terms of AI, right? What do we need to do, right? How do we need to implement it, and how we work? And I'm like, man, if we don't implement that in a huge way, and we're working with Claude Co-work, every single worker and different things like that, we're done. We're screwed. Like, we are out of business tomorrow, right? So the same way you have to look at this, right? Your practice, you have to start thinking about it and saying, okay, what are the macro factors? What's happening? Where's the wave? The wave is already here in terms of you're already dealing with this issue. A third of your patients already are uninsured or have this issue. Okay. So, in terms of a lever, what else do you need to pull to say, I need to keep my patients, I need to grow my patients? And this is an issue you have today anyway. It's not like, well, get something because it's coming. It's an issue today. And you're going to talk to more and more people who are influencers, more and more people who are YouTube drivers, or, they're YouTube influencers or Uber drivers or anything like that. That gig economy is moving fast. So as AI may replace some workers too, that's going to increase. And so this is going to move pretty fast. So now people are going to say, how do I want to go to my dentist? Not if I need to go. They're going to go with memberships. That's clear, right? That's obvious. So I'm like, start now. We can help you. It's very easy. We make it like almost so easy to get started. We integrate with the practice managed software. We're experts at doing this. We know we'll analyze all your fees and help you build the plan. We'll show you all the data. It's really easy. But I just made it like as easy as I possibly can for people to get on the platform. It's a month-to-month plan. And I'm like, when I came in, I'm like, I don't know, like, why doesn't everybody say yes? And it's really fear. You're right. It's fear of change. Like, oh, I have one more thing to do. So I've actually instituted like a guarantee, a 30-day guarantee saying, look, you have every bit of your money back in 30 days if you don't think it's working. Like, what else do you want us to do? Like, we're really making this easy because we want to create a revolution, and we can't do it alone. We need you, and we need volume, because you are our network when you think about it. So we go to a consumer side and we start bringing patients in. I want to go to you, Peter, and say, hey, you got 2 patients that want to come to you. Do you want to take them? Yes or no?
Yeah, that's the way to do it for sure.
So really, I want to drop the barrier to entry. So, look, it's very easy to get started.
We actually have a referral code.
People
as well.
say that.
I just want to add one thing before we wrap. I want to, first of all, thank you for your time today, Jim. We could make a part 2, part 3, and part 4 for this.
It's been fun.
Areas.
I've been a little all over the place, but it's been fun.
It's cool to see your vision, and in 2 months, like, to see how much has been implemented. It's true. We're dying in dentistry. That you say the death of 1,000 paper cuts. We're having the death of 1,000 plugins. A plugin for reviews, a plugin for this, a plugin for that. We have business intelligence. We have all this stuff. So if you can be the guy who can just create one product that helps us in the most massive way, that is just so efficient for our patients and better for them. And I want to just thank you for your sponsorship, but also every listener gets $100 off of their registration by using our code, which is BP Clerri 26. That's BP as Bulletproof Clerri's 2 R's and 26. But I think, Peter, to answer your question and Jim's question, like, why is it that everyone should do this? I think we beat that horse pretty good. But the biggest problem out there, in my experience, because I've been working with you guys for a long time, is dentists are trying to do it themselves. And it's just not worth it because you can't track it all. It's just the one of the reasons why us as business owners, we don't get ahead is because we do things that we shouldn't be doing. And when you talk about agentic tools and stuff like that, it's just the cost of doing business is so much less. So it's the biggest no-brainer ever.
I'll say in the last 2 months, like we've changed the way we've done some things, and like our best prospects are people who have in-house plans. It's great. They're converting like crazy right now, and it's awesome because we're like, great, you get it. So we don't have to. Then once they understand the liability shield and, oh, you guys do all this other stuff for me, and this is where you're going, they're like, this is great.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer. So we love the fact that people have in-house plans. That's great because they'll come on to us now or in a month or 2 months, but they're going to be with us at some point.
And before we hit record, Jim, I'll say this, is that, we include the new book called The Patient Experience is out in Amazon right now. So if you're listening to this, you actually can purchase Craig and I's second book in this, but actually we put Clerri in there as part of the tech stack and the patient experience part of it. So, we really stand behind what y'all are doing. All the aforementioned that we talked about, I think it just really reduces the friction. I think you can't afford not to have something like this in your practice these days. I just do kind of where the puck is going aspect. And I just thank you for your continued, your 20-year tenure into dentistry, 26-year tenure into dentistry, and really making it a better space for all of us, man. I appreciate all that you've done, and you will be at Summit. So those of you who and Clerri will have a big presentation there in terms of you guys will have a big booth there and station. So I encourage you guys to come demo it, look at it. Obviously that's all the way in August, but I'm glad you're coming to our summit. It's your first one, right, Jim?
Yeah, I haven't been there. And look, we just want to have a lot of conversations, I mean, it's totally cool. Like if it's not right for somebody right now, that's totally fine. Like we just want to have conversations with everybody because we just really believe in it. And, we're just good guys too. Like we're hiding nothing. Like we're just really transparent people and we'll just tell you exactly what we think.
I love that.
I'm not going to try to sell anything because it's just that we don't have to. It's pretty cool. So we look forward to the conversation we'll have there and it'll be a cool experience.
Yeah, guys, register today. We've actually had word that there's potentially a larger DSO that wants to send a bunch of their doctors to us. So if that happens, 200. Yeah, well, we'll limit the amount. We don't want to make it into the Acme Summit, but don't delay. It sold out last year. And just get your tickets today, Bulletproof, bpsummit.com, bpsummit.com. Thanks, Jim, for being here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. And we'll see everyone next time. Thanks, everyone, for watching today's episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Pod. We hope this conversation brought you a tremendous amount of perspective and reminded you of why you love dentistry. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, drop us a comment, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. Additionally, it would really help us if you could send this message to someone that you think would enjoy it. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep leading boldly, and most importantly, stay bulletproof.